and then we, I think, got out of there about 4 o'clock or quarter to 4 yesterday afternoon, which allowed me to be back, for the event last night. So,
There, in conversation with farmers, of course, I belong to about 3 different, sometimes 4 different coffee groups around town. Some of the farmers are concerned about a bill that I talked with Jesse Green about, and some of the city people and county people are also concerned that the Senate at least has made it more difficult, and maybe this has already passed. I don't know. The House and Senate have been trying to make it more difficult for the DNR and groups like that to be in competition with farmers for land here in Iowa. The argument is we need certain parks and those sorts of things. And I've been told that we wouldn't have been able, had this law been in effect a few years ago, we would have never got our trails system put in, which is popular here in Fort Dodge. Did you vote on this particular bill?
No. What happened with that bill? That was in the Senate tax bill.
Yeah.
And that during negotiations, and that got pulled out.
Oh.
So it didn't come up for a vote, and it wasn't even part of the bill. That doesn't mean they won't, whoever wrote it may not come back with it as a separate bill or something like that.
This year?
Yeah. I mean, who knows? It might pop up, and not really positive how much support it has, right now. And I can see both sides of that. I know I talked with some of the county supervisors, and it kind of puts a limit on how much per acre can be spent on land. But when you're talking about, trails that you just are going to grab the end rows, of somebody's field just to get the trail up to Badger or whatever, you're buying good quality land. So, they're not allowing you to pay the amount that needs to be paid for that land to be able to purchase it. So,
by the DNR, you're talking about it.
Well,
the DNR
whoever's,
or
DNR
CCB or whatever it is.
Or, National Heritage Foundation or whoever's doing it. So, but anyway, I'm an advocate for trails as well as our public parks, and there's a lot of stuff that can be done. I think with our public parks out there that we can fix. We could use a lot of this money to fix up what we have too. Rather than just acquire more. So we have more that we have to take care of.
Yeah.
We have a lot of areas that we could do some pretty cool things already if we just concentrated a lot of that money on those areas. So, I've listened to both sides, and I can empathize with both sides of that issue. And, it's not going to be voted on now anyway at this point. So, it's nothing we have to. It's the closest we've ever gotten to getting IWIL done, though. So, we've been waiting. Is
IWIL still in the thing?
Well, that's the bill. So
okay.
That's the part of it. Bill. That is the part of it. So it's the lowering of the sales tax to 6%, everybody, and then raising it 1 penny to 7, and then that would trigger that 3/8 of a cent that we're talking about.
Yeah,
a little over $200 million a year.
Yeah,
is what that would.
That's a lot of money.
What it would generate.
Is that the 3/8? Oh my God! Yeah, the environmentalists are always telling me that they want that 3/8 of a cent or whatever.
I mean, I'm not against it, and I would probably vote for it, but I think the thing is that we need to be within reason too of what we're spending the money on. If I just came and gave you $200 million and you weren't ready for it, you'd probably spend it in ways that you really haven't really thought out.
Oh, definitely.
And so I'm not a total proponent of just giving $200 million and maybe easing it in over several years. It seems like if you have any left over and you have to spend it, you just go spend it on things that you probably wouldn't want to or wouldn't have to spend it on. So we still have to be wise with the tataxpayers' money. That's what this is. So
I'd sure buy a new pair of shoes.
You would.
Much money. Yes,
you still got. Well, you've been wearing those sandals around.
Not yet, but they're coming out here shortly. I don't care if it's still snow on the ground in March or not. They're coming out.
March sandals.
Yeah, that's right. Senator Tim Kreinbrink is our guest. Tim, I'm a little concerned about the status of Jesse Green's mustache. I didn't see it on his face last night. I think he should grow it back.
You do? You like that? You like that?
I like a little mustache on Jesse Green's face because he looks 12 without it.
Now
State senators shouldn't look 12.
Now you had me thinking, because I think, did he have a mustache last night? Or
He
not?
didn't. Well,
Yeah.
at least his picture in the paper.
Yeah.
And I had him on a little bit earlier.
Well,
today.
you don't want to be the only one with a creepy mustache.
Well,
right?
that's everybody says this is a 70s porn stash. And guys my age all have porn stashes. I don't even know what they're talking about. For one thing, my stash is white now, so it can't
matches your hair.
It matches my hair. Yeah, what little of that I have left.
Well, I'll work on that with Jesse. It's another thing I can talk to him about.
Okay.
I suppose.
I want to hear from you, and I asked Jesse Green this question. Philosophically, if you will, why are you opposed to a progressive income tax in Iowa? Or are you opposed to a progressive income tax in Iowa?
You mean a progressive versus a flat?
Yes.
I mean, we've done so many things progressively, and I mean, there's people that didn't get the $1,200, COVID money.
Oh, the $1,400.
Or shows that I didn't get it. but
I think it was 14.
I mean, there's people that are left out of a lot of equations, just because they're in a group that either makes too much money or whatever. And
I understand
and
that.
honestly,
Is it better for the economy?
This is, I mean, this money's going to be spent. You know that.
Yeah.
And the main reason why we did this is to try to keep the people from moving down to zero tax states for half the year plus 1 day.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's happening is, they're moving down there. We were the fourth from the highest tax state, and as far as income tax is concerned, now we moved down, I think eighth. Now we moved down to the fourth lowest of states that are paying income tax,
right.
Federal state income tax. So there are 4 or 5 of them that aren't paying any. They have zero. But of the ones that are, people do have to pay state income tax. We're now the fourth lowest in that. And it just might be mentioned on the governor's speech coming up here on Tuesday after Biden's State of the Union address. I'm sure she'll probably mention, what we have done. But another thing,
she's a great choice for that.
Yeah,
too.
and another thing that I like about this plan is that the pensions, and we talked about this last week, if you've got IPERS or if you've got Frisky's pension or another pension in town here, that income off of that pension is going to be state totally tax-free, not at 3.9%. It'll be totally tax-free, Mike. And the same if you have a 401k or if you have an IRA and you're taking a distribution off of that, that will also be treated 100% tax-free from the state of Iowa. Now, remember, when you say 100% tax-free, that does not include federal tax.
Right.
So, we're just talking about state income tax. That's all we're talking about. I think I mentioned last week, if a joint couple makes over $70,400 a year, if that's what their net income is, they're in the highest tax bracket in the state of Iowa. So, which is currently 8.53%.
Mm-hmm.
So if you cut that to 3.9, and let's say a couple together each of them make $50,000 in their job, and they've got $100,000 income together, they would have $4,000 extra in their family pocket at the end of the year, because it's a 4% drop from 8.53 to 3.9. It's actually over a 4% drop.
Mm-hmm.
So, $4,000 for a family that makes $100,000, together, I think, and it's fairly common. I would say they're not really considered upper echelon. If you have 2 people at work and each of them make 50,000, I think that's a pretty average income for Fort Dodge.
It is.
And so I guess what I'm saying is that I don't think you're going to have anybody that's going to probably not be happy that they got $4,000 extra in their pocket at the end of the year, especially with gasoline now working its way up.
Yeah.
I think here today I just filled up at I don't know, 340, maybe 349.
Yeah. I got premium in Ames about 3 weeks ago for $4.
Yeah.
And diesel was even higher.
So you
than
put
that.
premium in?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Just have always done that?
No.
In your Camry?
Yes, in my Camry.
Hey, Camrys are made to run on like
on,
not just jet fuel. Okay,
yeah,
they're
all right.
they're made to run on E15.
Let me put it like this: when I'm going to drive a distance, and Ames isn't that big a deal, but I'm driving down to Cedar Rapids and back to see my son. I use premium because I get a little bit better gas mileage. Other than that, I will, I'll go with ethanol blend. And by the way, whatever happened to that bill? The ethanol.
It's still there.
It's still there.
Actually, Dan Zumbaugh is the one that's running in the Senate, and
Zumbaugh. Okay.
yeah, and so he is just having a little bit of a few health things that he's kind of working through right now. So I don't know I think he'll probably be back in a week or so, but if he's not, I'm sure they'll get somebody else to run it. So
okay, yeah.
I always think it's kind of interesting because renewable fuel, of course, is after me. I'm sure you've seen it on Facebook.
Yes, I have.
and I'm such a popular guy, right? Gosh, I tell
just
you
grow
what.
a mustache. You'll be a lot more. You'll be a lot more popular.
They'll be talking about me about other things, right?
Oh, Cranberry's got a porn stash.
Yeah, they'll be taking the focus off me. I'm just think I'm going to the full beard. Is actually what I'm doing. But anyway, yeah, it's just interesting. Everything's pitting someone against somebody else. It's always pitting someone against somebody else, and
that's unfortunate.
And just such a negative environment.
Well, here we do have, as with whether the DNR can buy land from and compete against farmers. I mean, these are two legitimate competing interests. I mean, you have to find common ground somehow, and hopefully that would be your job.
But yet, you're dealing with an individual that owns the land, and how can you tell that individual what they can sell their land for, or who they can sell it to?
Well, that is a legitimate question. Another part of it, of course, is how much farmland do we want to take out of production? I mean, there's a lot of sprawl.
Yeah, but is that the government's job to do that,
or
is it the individual's job?
Is it? I mean, the government
If I come to your house and tell you can't sell that,
I don't know if
for this reason.
I don't think that's a fair comparison, Tim. I think what we're talking about is how we're going to grow food in the future. I think that's the real question. And is all this sprawl or taking crop ground out of production a good idea?
Well, part of the reason why we're growing more food is because we're putting more nutrients in the land. Our current yields have gone. I mean, just talk to farmers this year on what they felt their yield was going to be halfway through the summer, and what it ended up being at the end of the year. It was just unbelievable. They were thoroughly blessed with, and a lot of that's done through the fertilizer as well as the hybrid seeds that they're putting in the ground. I mean, we have the ability to continue to increase our production, but I'm not arguing either way on this. I'm just saying, when does it become a personal decision for the people that actually own the land? And I think the people that own the land, that are on the land, probably are very, very, it's very sacred to them. Whereas if you have a family that inherited that land and they live in New York and they're getting rent off of it, I mean, they don't care. Sometimes they don't care as much about that land as what the actual 150-year, lifetime family that's lived on that farm actually hopes and dreams about that farmland being worth to the family.
You know John Hale, don't you?
Oh yeah.
I've known John for a while, since he was with Social Security Administration.
Yep.
And he and his wife had a opinion piece in the Messenger, I think, on Wednesday or Thursday, and then it was in. Well, look, we have another superstar here, also without a mustache. And Meyer just.
That's a good thing.
Don't get close.
Anyway, John and his wife wrote that they used to be proud to be from Iowa. I've never had a thought like that in my life. It was mainly a screed from a Democrat, and
now they're not anymore.
No, apparently no, they're not. So we're just terrible people because we're Republicans. And did you know that you're a terrible person because you're?
I hope you misread that.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Wow.
In fact, I thought so much of it, I put it on my Facebook page.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just,
Well, then, if you have that relationship, it's kind of like a divorce. It's time to get out, right?
I think it is.
So,
I'm very disappointed in John.
So they made the right move, apparently.
They went down to Ankeny, but apparently they were in Arizona when they ran into other Arizonans who originally came from Iowa, and these people in Arizona said, well, gee, we used to be proud to work from Iowa, but we're not anymore. Well, then stay in Arizona. Stay in Arizona.
So they went to another conservative state?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not getting that.
Why don't they try Washington, D.C., or how about Illinois?
Yeah.
Or California. That'd be a great place for
them. We just have another minute with Senator Kreinbrink, and we're going to Representative Meyer. I'm going to say this name, and I don't want you to get ticked about it, but Jake Hall and I were talking yesterday, Tim, about books in school, and that was one of the things that really got the Hales ticked off is, oh my God, your book burners, and Brad Zahn said we should throw teachers in jail and all this sort of thing. I can't say I think Zahn was just talking out of the wrong end of his.
Well, I think you have to look at it from a different point of view. And I don't know if I said this last week on here or not, but some of the books that we actually have in our school here are some of those books. They did come to me and say that we do have the 5 books that you're probably looking through right now are in our school here at our high school library.
What sort of books are in our high school library?
Well, you're kind of looking at
holding, so I just handed you the list of them and handed you
these are in the Fort Dodge?
Yes.
Lawn Boy is?
Yes.
So anyway.
Sounds like I need to have a talk with somebody from the school board.
So anyway, if I were, as a foster parent, which we're not anymore, we let our license lapse. So I'm sure there's lots of you out there that are happy about that.
I commend you for all the years you did.
But anyway, if I read them a bedtime story out of this material right here that you have in your hand, and the kid went to the mom and says, "Oh, Tim read me this when we went to bed last night," and what's in those papers right there, I would be charged, and I would probably be investigated for child abuse.
Of course.
So then they would do an actual study to see if it was founded or not, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, Tim did read this. So Tim, you go to jail because you're now giving porn to kids, or you're reading porn to kids." So I guess what's different from that, or just allowing it to be in our library so our kids can get their hands on it, and they say, "Oh, they can get it much more, if they're on the internet." Well, that's fine, but that's a parent's problem.
That's right.
We with taxpayer money aren't paying for their phone. We're paying for everything that's in our public school.
Right.
And so I think that's where Ann, I don't know if Ann's with me on this or not, but that's where I'm coming from, is I would be probably prosecuted, and I'd lose my license, and I'd probably be criminally charged.
No doubt.
If I did that. But yet it's okay for the state to buy these books and put them in our public libraries, and then have our kids.
Well, they're not required reading though, Tim.
But
I hear these things from advocates for these books at school, and it's just nonsense.
Right, but it wasn't required for me to read it to the foster kids at night either.
That's right. This is really Brad Zahn's point. If a parent exposed their children to material that's in school libraries, apparently even in Fort Dodge,
they're going to be investigated.
They're going to be investigated at the very least, perhaps charged.
So he's not saying put every teacher in jail.
No.
But if this is what's happening, and it happened in a normal situation, that person probably would be in jail.
The arguments in favor of this are so transparently false and ugly that and I've obviously.
Well, apparently some people moved to Arizona because of it.
Apparently, and they can stay there. I'll change my retirement.
I'll send them
plans.
the books.
I'll change my retirement plans to Texas so I don't run into them. But what is the real question is, what is the state government prepared to do about these sorts of things? Are either of you prepared to support any sort of proposal that would keep these books in school libraries only for older children? Frankly, and you and I talked about it last weekend, frankly, at the university level, you can discuss anything.
Sky's the limit.
Well, yes. I mean, children,
those are adults.
They're young adults, and they should be exposed.
And if you don't like it, then pull your kid out. Put them in a different college.
If you've graduated,
send them to Hillsdale.
Absolutely. There's my
Michigan.
School. Michigan. To Troy.
Only if they're 6'11", 420 pounds.
So what do you? So would either you support any sort of proposal to curtail the sector?
I
yes.
would. Yep.
All right. Is there anything going on?
At the very least, I would support having parental consent.
Yes,
that's the very least.
Well, we can't have parents around the school,
But I think in the governor's bill there is in the education bill, there is a method to remove those books from
Okay.
school.
It's kind of interesting though. I did get a letter from a educator, not here. It's in the district, and it was kind of funny. I got a letter, and it was very poorly written. Not that I'm a great writer,
Mhm.
but I could even tell that it was not very well written. And it said, parents don't always know best. It said that at the end.
We were talking about getting sent off to school, and I got a go blue text here right away, so we know.
Oh, it must be his day off
It
again.
must be his day
Jeez,
off.
I bet he can't wait. We're not going to hear from him when they start golfing.
He
All right,
just got
Senator.
home.
So, yeah, I brought Senator Kreinbrink and Representative Meyer in at different times so we could talk Senate and House. So, Tim, thank you very much. And Meyer's coming up. This is AM 1400 KBFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. This program brought to you by Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters at 612 South 32nd Street here in Fort Dodge. You may contact Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters by calling 576-6481 or online at www.fdwater.com. It's 334.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at jmike1400.
All right, the news is coming up.
The North Central Iowa Regional Solid Waste Agency accepts appliances. Bring your microwaves, stoves, refrigerators, freezers, dishwashers, washers, dryers.
Sports and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
This is AM 1400 KBFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. It's 3:42. You know, I'm here with Representative Ann Meyer. You know, Ann, I don't get that many phone calls, but I've been on air today and I've gotten repeated phone calls. Like, don't you people know me? Do you know what I'm doing between the hours of 2 and 5 every day? I'm trying to do something here.
You can probably
Anyway.
guess those are your telemarketers then. They're not your good friends.
Well, listen, my son just called.
I'm
from
sorry.
Cedar Rapids. Yeah.
Maybe there is an issue then.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't, maybe I probably did this with my parents, but it never occurred to me my parents had lives and they shouldn't be paying attention to me all the time or something. I don't know that. I don't know. Anyway, Ann Meyer's here. If you'd like to ask the representative a question or have a comment for Representative Meyer, it's 515-955-1400, 515-955-1400. You were not able to attend the Republican Party dinner last night, and as Senator Cranbrook pointed out, it was a Republican Party of Iowa dinner, not a Webster County Republican dinner. But something came up, and I didn't see this coming. Something came up out of that meeting is that Senator Jesse Green has shaved his mustache.
You know what? He shaved a while back, and I saw him. When did I see him? I can't remember if I saw him right before we started session or right after. I said, that's the first thing I noticed. Because you know what, Mike? I'm not really a big fan of facial hair.
You're not?
No.
I'll shave my head.
And so, well, whenever someone has, whenever someone grows a beard and a mustache, we have a lot of people in the house right now that seem to just love their beards, and they've grown them, and they're like me. It's like, gosh, you don't want to say anything, but whenever they do shave, I'm like, you look so much better clean shaven.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel.
Yeah.
It's personal.
I saw an old picture of Nevin Mulholland once when he was a young man. He had a mustache. He
Uh-huh.
looked like a sultan from Turkey or something. It really does change it, but I've had this mustache for so long. Of course, I dated for a long time a woman who grew up in the 70s, and everybody in the 70s our age had a mustache at the very least. So I guess I've kept it for that reason.
Before we get started, I just want to remind everyone that tomorrow morning at 8:30 is Eggs and Issues.
Thank you for doing that.
It's at the Bioscience Auditorium at Iowa Central, 8:30 to 10. Senator Cranbrink and I will be there. I believe Senator Green, and I already talked to Representative Sexton. He will be there too. So there'll be four of us.
Will be.
He will be there.
Excellent.
Saw him late last night when we were leaving the house, and he's healthy, and things should be good.
So why were you guys? Why were you House members working so late last night?
Well, earlier, you know what? The weeks run together. Before last night, we ran the House tax bill. It was either early this week or late last week. I can't remember exactly. But the Senate, we went into negotiations with the Senate after we passed and the governor's office. So we were all on the same page. We have a great historic tax bill coming out, and I'm sure the senators already talked about it, so I won't go into that. But what happens is, so we put the tax bill out first. It goes over to the Senate. The negotiations get going, and then the bill is amended, and then it bounces back to the House. So the Senate was debating on it yesterday. I think they finished up around 3:30. After they finished their debate on 3:30, that's when it bounced back to the House, and then we have to caucus on it. So the Democrats went to caucus. We actually had already seen the negotiations the night before. We knew it was in the bill, so we didn't really need to caucus on it. And so they needed to do their due diligence and then offer up amendments. And we finally got back to debate, I want to say between 6:30 and 6:45. And I think we were out of there by 8:30 last night. So that's, I completely missed the Republican event in Fort Dodge. And I'm sorry to have missed Senator Ernst. She was also at the 133rd or before that. So it was disappointing, but it was for a good cause. We have great tax policy in Iowa now, and it'll hopefully keep our retired people in Iowa because retirement income now will be tax-free. We will be going down to a 3.9% flat tax
Those are all
eventually.
good things.
Yeah. They are all good things. And I know you will hear the stories that, this only affects the rich. It's a percent. It's a flat tax. It's the fairest tax you could have.
Well, let me ask you about this, and I asked Senator Green and Senator Cranbrook the same question. The progressive income tax came about in the early 20th century, and the simple idea was that those who benefited most from our society should be obligated to pay more than those at the lowest economic spectrum. And I understand that, and I accept that. Why are you opposed to a progressive tax system, or why do you support the flat tax? It's kind of, as I asked Senator Green and Cranbrook, it's kind of a philosophical question.
I suppose it is. I would argue that the people at the top are still paying the most tax. I mean, it's the same percentage, but it's the same percentage of a much higher amount. They're still paying more. They're still paying a lot more.
University of Michigan graduates don't make very much, do they? Like minimum wage tops.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure what. I think you have to probably go on to do very.
You have to go on for
You have to
university?
go. You have to
All
go
right.
to postgraduate school.
Where's Jake going again? Your son?
Jake's at AT Still University, Kirksville College of Medicine. He's in his master's, finishing up his master's program right now, and he'll be starting med school in July. We're
Well, you
so
should be
very
proud.
I'm so proud of him I could cry.
Well, that's wonderful. He seems like a nice young man the times I met him, and I'm glad to hear that he's doing well. Is he? How much more school does he have?
Well, he'll have 4 years. So med
Okay.
school is 4 years long.
Okay.
And then he'll have,
he just started.
yeah, he'll be starting in July, and then he'll have a year of internship. He's
Mhm.
going DO school, and then he'll have a residency. He'll have to specialize in wherever specialty he wants to go, whether it's family medicine, internal medicine, ER medicine, OB, whatever he wants to do. I just hope he comes back and does it in Iowa.
I hope he does too. That was going to be my next question. Is there any possibility? Jake grew up here, right?
Jake grew up here. Yep, we moved here when he was 4.
Okay. Certainly, we need young professional people,
We do.
and it would be great if he would consider staying here.
Yeah.
In his hometown. He's got to do what's best for himself, of course.
Mhm.
But I hope he gives it a long, hard thought to stay here with us.
I hope when he's graduated that one of the condos in our little area are for sale, and we could just all live in the same
Mom,
neighborhood.
easy. Next thing you'll be fixing up his old room.
Well, there's that possibility too.
Then you get married and have kids, and we'll expand a little bit. Yeah.
Well, and then we'll help take care of his grandkids while he and his wife are at work.
All righty then. So the deal with the flat tax, as it were, trying to get to a place in 5 years or 6 years. I've heard there is no income tax.
Yes,
Correct?
eventually that is the eventual goal.
Mhm.
But we are conservative, and while we do want to cut taxes as much as possible for
Mhm.
people, because we think you can spend your money much better than the government can.
Mhm.
We still have to be careful because we still want to fund the services that
Yes.
we need to run the state. I mean, we're funding education, we're funding healthcare. That's 82% of our budget. We still have people that need safety nets. We want to make sure those people are taken care of. But we have such a surplus in the state right now that has been over collected from the taxpayers of Iowa. We need to send that. We need to do something to keep more money in your pocket and out of the state's bank account. Really?
Well, that's the reason Republicans are on Earth, isn't it? Is to cut taxes. That's not a slam.
Yeah.
If we let it to the Democrats, we'd be England or something with 80% rates.
Well, a lot of people move to Florida or Texas because there is no state income tax. I mean, my
Is
father
there in Arizona, or do you know?
I don't know that. I don't know about Arizona, but there aren't many states that don't have an income tax. So but I can't tell. If someone was online and had their phone in their hand and could research that, that would be great. Does
Yeah.
Arizona have a state income tax?
Texas is not a bad place. My late mother-in-law and father-in-law, God rest their soul, they were great people. They got themselves a double wide down in Texas in the Corpus Christi area, and they'd go across the border to Mexico and shop, and they just had a high old time down there every winter, And they didn't spend a lot of money. I mean, it was a retirement community. They had games for seniors and that sort of thing all the time, and they thoroughly enjoyed their time there and didn't have to spend a lot of money.
My research,
I mean, you can spend as much as you want.
yeah, my research staff says Arizona has high taxes.
Oh, well, that's kind of surprising because it has been a left-leaning or right-leaning state. That was Barry Goldwater's old state. But
Florida, no state income tax,
No
and their
state.
property taxes are low. So they
they
make
really?
they make their income on tourism.
Oh,
So if whenever you're at a hotel, I think there's like a 12 to 15% additional state tax.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know people go to Florida and Texas and Arizona for the winter. Do you and Jim ever go south or not?
Just for very short vacations.
Mm.
I love Florida. I don't know that, as much as I don't like driving in snow, I don't mind the change of the season. I wouldn't mind leaving for a month when that time comes, but I don't know that I want to pick up and move.
that's
I
always
love
good.
the Midwest.
I've lived in California. I lived down south in the Carolinas a couple of years, and these. I guess I'm just a homeboy. I keep coming on back. Anyway, Ann Meyer's here. We should talk state business. We want to get to your position with the Human Resources Committee. What has happened there this year?
So far, well, we finished first funnel last week. I think I talked to you a week ago Thursday. Our first funnel ended on Friday. We passed our priorities through Human Resources. So I talked to so now the process is within the next 4 weeks, and we just passed one of those 4 weeks. So we have 3 more weeks to get all of our priorities to the House floor.
Okay.
And that we have got, I think we have passed in the House so far over 300 bills through all of the committees. That's got to be whittled down. I mean, everything. We whittled bills down when we're in caucus. So we had a stack of bills on Wednesday that was 35 bills. And our leadership set up in the front. And when we have a bill going through, we speak to the caucus on the bill. And he said, before we get started, I'm going to ask you 2 questions about your bill. How does it improve Iowa? How does it make things easier for Iowa? And do we need to have it in code? Because we are not going to just run bills for the heck of add code for the heck of running code. We're just not going to do it.
Wait, what was that? I'm sorry.
We're just not going to add code for no reason.
Add
code.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we did whittle the stack down a little bit, but then we get bills from the department. So right now through Human Resources, we have a big DHS, Department of Human Services bill relating to foster care and adoption and what's best for the child, and best and how the court should deal with this as well. So the department has done a very good job over the past few years. During the Trump administration, a policy was implemented called Families First. If at all possible, we try not to remove a child from the family. If there's abuse or we want to place them with another family member, if at all possible. And then there's another term that came up that'll, if you're not in Human Resources, you may not know it, but it's called, we either want to put them with a family member or what's called fictive kin. And what fictive kin would be like, I had my girlfriend that grew up our kids grew up together, or she was just my friend and she watched my kids grow up. I died or something happened to me. There's no one else to take the child. She should be considered first rather than the foster system. The foster system is fabulous. I'm not bashing that at all. We have, the foster parents in Webster County that I've spoken to, their hearts are huge. This was, like I said, this was through the Trump administration to reduce trauma to the child. So not taking them away from everyone they know.
Yeah. Or taking them out of their homes that they grew up in, or those sorts of things.
Exactly. And then they also put some parameters around guardian ad litems, which are the advocate for the child in these cases. So that's a big department bill that to update the systems to make us in compliance, number one, with the feds, but number two, Iowa has done one of the best jobs in the country on improving the foster and adoption system. And so I'm while that happened before I got here, it's still happening now, the improvements, but I'm very proud of Iowa for the work they've done in the foster and adoption system. So
yeah, Tim and Sally Cranbrook, what an example they are of a commitment to Christian living. They are truly my one of my concerns would be children, and I know it is yours as well. And we need to. I'm not going to say it takes a village. Somebody already said that, but yeah, we need to do everything we can for our children.
I will say all the mental health bills that we talked about earlier, they have moved.
Good.
So we're still working on that. And we do have actually a few more to add to that to increase providers in the state and their technical changes. But it's talking about provisional licenses. So while a psychologist might be in their internship, they can still practice treating people. So it just widens our provider base. We're going to allow for out-of-state telehealth providers. That's one thing we're looking to get through.
Actually, yeah, we're going to have to go here.
Okay.
Representative Ann Meyer has been our guest.
We'll talk more next week.
Yes, we will. Eggs and Issues tomorrow, 8 o'clock or 8:30? What did you say?
8:30, Iowa Central.
8:30. Great. All right. Thank you, Ann. This is AM 1400 KBFD, the
have you those Providence guys would take me, throw me around like a rag doll.
Wow.
They're huge.
Well, you know, I worked on the East Coast for a couple of years in the Carolinas, and one of the kids that worked for me was from Pittsburgh. And he'd say, you know, when we went to Cleveland for a game, and the bus was full of fans from Pittsburgh came, they would throw bolts at them in the bus, you know,
Bolts?
and full cans of soup, you know, and all kinds of things. And they'd be beaten on the sides of their buses with baseball bats. And I said, well, certainly they didn't do that in Pittsburgh. He said, oh, we were laying for them. He said, that was, you know, and those were the days where Pittsburgh was the team, you know, and Cleveland was, well, Cleveland at the time. I can only hope they do a little bit better. Really, and I guess we did talk about the Super Bowl, but it was good to see two teams that you don't usually see in the Super Bowl there, especially the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, out east they do have their own.
Wow.
way of doing things.
It's really harsh, vicious. It's just, you hear it all. And that's the way it goes. And then after the game, they go, hey, you guys play a nice game. If they win, if they lose, get out of there. They're still angry. Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Yeah, I sometimes watch hockey games from out there, and the fans, you can see them on television. There's just a swirling mob.
Hockey, yeah, I would imagine, yeah.
And they really want
It's
blood.
a volatile game.
No, it is a volatile
It's a
game.
great game to watch. So,
Yeah.
man.
So, are you guys tuned into the state high school basketball tournament or not?
Well, it's the only team in this area that's still alive is the Humboldt Wildcats.
Well, I just heard that the Southeast Calhoun kids.
Well,
are-
girls, yeah,
the Humboldt Wildcats for boys.
boys,
Okay.
yeah, and girls is South Central Calhoun, made the state. I think that's the only one around this area, isn't it?
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, you've got Garrigan and
Garrigan's,
Newell
yeah.
Fonda are back.
Right.
Maybe they're sub-state final.
No,
I
they're
don't- they're both in state
I
now?
think they're
Okay.
both in, yeah, because
Okay.
they're playing. They start Monday,
Okay.
so
There you go.
I really would like to see the Kirks girl from Garrigan play. I mean, there's a Fort Dodge connection there. She's the late Jimmy Crook's
Right.
daughter, and she's a big girl too.
yeah,
And I guess she's just a wonderful girl from people I talk
yes,
to.
she
up there.
is.
Just a real sweet girl, and I would like to.
She's getting a lot of recruiting attention.
Yeah,
too.
a lot. I think she's got another year at least of
Yes.
high school left.
I think she's a junior.
Yeah,
You're right.
Is there any indication where she might go?
All I do is what I've read in the paper, Iowa State are
Yeah.
both after them. Both of them are outstanding girls programs.
Yeah.
I mean, Iowa State's girls program right now is ranked 6th in the country. Most people don't even know that. They're
Yeah.
ranked 6th
Yeah.
and they're good.
Having a
And,
great
and
year.
Iowa's good too. They're ranked in the top 15, I think. So
Your wife is from a well-known Fort Dodge family, and of course,
Hmm.
she's well-known as a golfer. Did she have the opportunity to play basketball in
Not
Fort
really.
Dodge Senior High, or did she? She
they,
probably went.
they
to St.
didn't play
Edmunds.
girls basketball back then, I don't believe.
They just had intramurals.
Yeah, they just had intramurals. I mean, she played softball, but I don't think they had started. They were just getting ready to start girls basketball when she was like a senior in high school.
Did she go to St. Ed's or?
No, she
She
went
went
to
senior high.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Anyway, 955-1400 if you'd like to join the conversation as far as sports are concerned. So, well, it's good that the Humboldt Wildcats are in there. Are you suiting up for the game or?
no, they haven't called me. I'm still waiting for the phone call. But no, they've got a good ball club. They were co-champions of the North Central Conference,
Good for them.
and
Who's the head coach up there? Do you know?
I don't even know who it is now. Who is it?
Oh, I do know the name, but I don't know him.
Yeah.
The days were, I don't.
And
Come to
Humboldt-
think of it, I don't know who the St. Ed's coach is.
Oh, the guy by the name of Adolf
Yeah,
Kogendorfer.
still there?
He's
Okay.
still
All
there.
right.
Yeah.
I don't mean to say that in a negative.
No,
way.
I know it. I know.
Yeah.
but-
Okay. All right. Yeah, we know
Yeah,
it.
But I think they won last night, Humboldt. did,
Yeah.
right? Against
And they've got-
Central
they've-
Lamar's, and they got Spencer.
they got to play. I think they got to play Spencer,
Spencer.
at Spencer.
Oh,
I
at
think.
Spencer.
Yeah, I think it's up there
Ouch.
or in that area to get to state. So,
It's a good class they've got up there, boy.
yeah, they had a great football team,
Yep.
and now they got a really good basketball team.
All right.
Yeah.
They do have a good football team.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They made the playoffs,
Yeah.
and they got
Very
beat
good.
by who beat them? It was
Well, was it Nevada?
one of those. No, it was one of those. I can't remember. It was Harlan beat him. It was Harlan.
You know, in winter sports, of course, I like wrestling, and since I've been talking with you guys in the last few days, I'm actually watching a lot more basketball than I did. But I'm really waiting for baseball, and there's
I better
Better wait.
yeah, it's going to be a while the way it's going.
well, that was where I was going.
Okay.
Of course, was the strike, and there's a threatened strike, and I don't. Does anybody know? Do you know, Nevin? Do you know what the discussion's about, or what the complaint is, or?
I have read up on it, but I can't. It gets really how do I? It's not worth talking about because it gets very convoluted. Okay, we don't have time. I've read about it.
Well,
At
what
the
are
end of the
what are the
day-
highlights?
Well,
Do
yeah,
you
but
know?
it's hard. Years of service. What's the other? As far as
They're just not making enough money, Mike. That's the problem.
well, it's
Well, it's
always
always-
about money.
It's always an
money.
Yeah.
argument between multimillionaires and multimillionaires.
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
neither side looks all that well in this
Yeah.
in that particular.
Well, here's what
discussion.
I would tell you is, they're really, they're playing with fire here. They're underestimating or how popular that sport or overestimating how popular that sport is. Baseball's on somewhat thin ice. You may watch it, but Mike, they're losing people.
You watch it.
I do, but I mean, I can't. I rarely watch an entire game when I'm at home. I'm not going to sit down and spend a number of
4
hours watching
hours.
a baseball game.
I've never done that, but
well, I'm
I've
not saying you did, but
yeah,
my
and
point
I don't think
is,
you have either. It's,
well, I'm saying I don't. And the game live doesn't move quick enough.
That's
They
right.
still there are real problems with baseball that really is what they should be trying to address, as opposed to fighting about the money. Honest to God,
Well,
they're going to lose popularity here. They are
here's-
going to lose market share.
here's a problem that exists in all three major sports. I think the officials are interjecting themselves into the game. Football's getting ridiculous. You can't do anything without an official being involved. I mean, I've seen very questionable calls, and I know when they want to protect the quarterback, and I'm in favor of that, but man, they've gone overboard. And they have constant reviews of plays. They're slowing down one of the most popular, if not the most popular professional sport. And I think they're doing it in the NBA. They may be doing it to a certain extent in college basketball. Oh, yeah, I think they are. The officials are getting in the way way too
Actually,
much.
they don't.
And,
They,
and
if
determining
anything, they're letting them play more.
They are doing
the game's
that.
gotten it's gotten real physical in
real
college.
physical.
It's incredible how physical
It's
college
physical.
games gotten, and I think they've got to get away from the grabbing, the holding, and the bumping on drives. I mean, they've
Yeah.
got to do something about
But that's
that.
been going on quite a while.
Yes, it is. But
They changed it though. If
And
you
that
remember,
wasn't
about
that-
4 years ago, they were going to clean the game
Right.
up, and they basically said, "Oh, we're going to call it much closer," and they put everybody on notice, and they did do that, and then it just kind of went away. I don't know.
Well, that's probably coming from the owners. It's got to be the owners.
I'm
I
talking
rem-
about college games.
or college game. But I do remember the NHL, the National Hockey Association, a number of years ago. There was a complaint about violence in hockey, and one of the owners, and I'm depending on my memory here, but he came out and said, "Look, people come to hockey games to see fights. They don't really pay. Secondarily, they pay to see them push a puck up and down the ice. But really, what they want to see is a good duke out, or words to that effect." And he's probably right.
I don't think so.
But you think
I think I'd still go. I think most people will still go to a hockey game. It is fast paced.
Yeah, it
It is
really is.
exciting.
Do you
I
understand
think it's
hockey?
Kind of. Yeah, I do.
I
And
really
I
don't.
think it's probably one of the best spectator sports there is.
It's
To
a
be
growing
quite honest,
sport.
when you walk in, that
it's not
game's
it's
exciting.
It's just not a good TV.
It's not a good TV.
I have gone down to see Iowa State, and they had a hockey team. I don't know if they still do, but that was great.
Club hockey, yeah.
Yeah.
That was
But
great.
you were saying we were talking about baseball, and
Yeah.
you were saying that the game is too. We were saying we all agree the game is too slow, but you were blaming that on the officials in baseball.
I really believe that the officials are interjecting themselves, yes, in baseball too much.
Well, how many times can they
Yeah.
review something in baseball?
And they've got to call balls and strikes.
Yeah,
Yes,
And they may
do.
have to call that they're charged with calling, whether you're safe or out at first and at every other base.
So, what's your point here? I'm wrong or what?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, matter of
I
fact,
thought
they're
that was
wrong.
your point over there, Coleman.
yeah. You're
Oh, the real thing here is, Mike, you suck. That's good attitude.
No, no.
Well, he was giving you a chance to
Boy,
rehabilitate
talking about taking it
yourself.
personal.
Oh, my
Jeez,
Lord.
Christmas.
Giving me a chance. I
was.
need no rehabilitation.
You do.
I am as I am.
I'm not going to shake your hand after this show.
That's well, I'll grab you by the arm. then.
He'll take a swing at you.
That's right.
Crab and Hoff.
A brawl for an all here in
Yeah.
KCBFC studio. Okay, so yeah, well, that's you guys do not believe the officials interjecting themselves.
Not in baseball.
All right,
I don't, but I
do
think
you
they're
believe in sports in general?
in some sports. I mean, officiating's tough. I don't know where you go with it. The replay issues in pro football. On one hand, yeah, it slows the game up. On the other hand, people have been demanding get it right.
Get it right. Yeah.
Get it right. So you have to balance those two and come up with,
Yeah.
you know, maybe a little quicker, but get it right is the end of the day. That's why they're doing it, because as you'll recall, the last couple of years, they've gotten it wrong. So this year they're really
Right.
trying to get it right.
In college basketball, though, even Jay Billis, you know, who's a highly
I
respected.
like it.
Yeah. And he's really come out and he's been very, which is unusual, but he's come out and been very, very critical lately of college basketball officiating.
As he,
Yes. And it's kind of unusual to see a public pundit like that criticize the officials like he has. He came out and said, something's got to be done about this. This is terrible.
Well,
And-
in Bayless, what I like about him, he's very plain spoken.
Right.
I mean, he's not one of these smarmy, I don't know, Bob Costas guys, you know, that
But-
he's
yeah.
just a very straight talker, and I appreciate that.
But, you know, you see these guys and, you know, like the post player, they'll just start banging down low, pushing a guy underneath the basket. And if you're trying to stop him from pushing, they call a foul on you. And it's like, wait a minute. I mean, it's just these poor centers, the 5-spot players. I mean, you got to have 3 of them anymore. They're all fouling out because they, you know,
well, I
and
watched
players come and jump into them and they call a block. And then the next game, it's either a no call or a charge. It's just a really, it must be, I think the game has gotten so big and fast that the officials are really having a hard time calling a good game.
Oh, yeah, you look at news or sports film from the 60s with Bob Cousy. You know, and it's,
Oh, yeah.
you know, it's
College
totally
teams are
different.
bigger than those pro teams
Oh,
back then.
definitely.
Well, I told you guys, I was watching off the air, the Ohio State Illinois game last night.
Right.
Really physical. Well, Cockburn, my God, I don't know how you guard him. And I'm telling you, Ohio State, he would get down low and he would back himself in. And I mean, that Ohio State center, I'm sure still in the whirlpool. This
Yeah.
guy is a monster. He's strong. He moves well. He caught him one time with an elbow, not intentionally, but he's just so big. And on the other hand, the Ohio State guy is banging into him. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how you call the game. I don't know what a foul is now and what a foul isn't.
And it changes from game to game. I mean, that's the hard part too.
But as a general statement, they're letting them play. I
Yep.
mean, I will say that. I don't care what game I'm watching, what conference I'm watching. Everybody kind of complains. They're letting them play, man. They are. It is what it is, and I think it is a product of these kids have gotten so big, so strong, and so fast. And
Yep.
that's a small court anymore with the size of these. That you got to let some of that go on, I guess.
You know, what happened to Zion Williams anyway? My man
That's an
Zion.
interesting story.
Yeah.
You know, talk about big and strong and impressive.
And hurt.
He just looked like the next generation to me. I mean,
Yeah.
but basketball players were evolving right before my very eyes when this guy was in college. And he went to the Pelicans. I haven't heard from him since.
Been hurt every year. He's been hurt. He's hurt. Got a broken foot right now. And
yeah.
and that's the
Well, you never
bugaboo
get
on
over a
him.
broken foot because I broke my foot.
Sometimes you
before.
don't. Sometimes
Big
you
guys
don't.
really struggle with that. I mean,
Ask
big
Bill
guys,
Walton.
and yeah, well, you can go through them all. The
Yeah.
guy from Ohio State that was the
Eden.
number 1 draft
Eden.
choice.
Yeah.
Who's
Greg
that?
Eaton.
Greg Oden.
Oden.
Greg
Greg
Oden.
Greg
Oden.
Oden.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can go on and on and on. I mean, big guys in their feet, it's a problem. And with Zion, you put on top of that, this guy is heavy. He's a big boy.
Big.
Yeah.
Big boy. Now, he's a unicorn. He does things on the floor that you've never seen anybody.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love to
athletic.
watch him play.
You know, that's Charles Barkley on steroids.
Oh, really?
Back
Yeah.
in Charles' day. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they did talk about, and they've been talking about the fact that Zion's just kind of disappeared even from the team.
Yeah.
And who came in from Portland?
Oh yeah.
McCullough or How can I not?
Not McClellan, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And he came in, and he's a
Guard,
terrific, he's
yeah.
a great leader. And they said, well, what do you think about Zion? I said, I've never talked to him. They go, well, you've been there for weeks.
Never talked to
haven't
him?
seen him, haven't talked to him. I'm going to get a hold of him because he's certainly not reaching out to me. I want to meet him. And then Reddick came out and said, that's part of Zion's problem. He's just a young kid. He's, I'll use the word aloof. He's not involved with the team. And, he says, that's problematic. So
that is a kind of unusual story. He came off to me as a likable young man in interviews when he was in school. Right. And again, I described him as the greatest player ever. You guys disagreed, of course.
Of course.
But I'm disappointed that we haven't seen or heard anything from him at all.
But the deal with him, though, is he just turned 21, I heard, just in the last week or two or month. And this kid is just a baby. He's 20 years old, trying to navigate all this.
I understand, but LeBron James came in the game when he was 18.
Well, and that's part of his, strength. Mm-hmm. LeBron James was able to adapt, being a young person at that time. Mm-hmm. He did a remarkable job.
He really did.
He really did. People overlook that. You're right.
He's also a very plain spoken man, and I like that.
You do?
Yeah, I do. What is with you and your shots today?
No, you're now listen. Now you hit a nerve with him. I'm okay with it, but he doesn't like LeBron.
You don't like? Well, yeah, I think he's pretty. Why don't you like LeBron now?
It's too political.
Oh my God,
you're getting weird in your old age, Randy. Weird. Okay, what's the problem with LeBron?
I think I just wish he'd concentrate on playing basketball and leave the politics and everything else out of it.
Well, he's not Colin Kaepernick. We could get rid of Kaepernick.
He's not too far away.
Well, Kaepernick, much to everybody's surprise who liked him, was a mid-range quarterback. I'm sorry.
Right.
He wasn't a superstar. He wasn't LeBron James.
No.
I mean, LeBron James practically is college basketball or NBA, excuse me.
One of the greats of all time. Sure. I mean, whether you like him or not.
That's right. Yeah.
He is something else. Yeah.
All right. Nevin Mulholland and Randy Kuhlman have been our guests. Thank you, guys. Hope to talk to you next week. All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Oh, yeah. This is AM 1400 KVFT.
Hi, this is Gina from Iowa Specialty Hospitals and Clinics. Are you one of many people suffering from chronic